What's up, everybody? Kyle Barboza here, bass player, music educator, and I'm often asked by people, what should I practice? And I think a better question is, how do you practice? Because there is a best way to practice, and then there's everything else. So today I want to show you the best way to practice an instrument. And there's one objective when I'm practicing an instrument. That objective is, I want to be right 100% of the time. Which is ridiculous to say, right? Because we're practicing something that we don't already know how to do. So how can we be right 100% of the time? And I'm going to manipulate two things in order to be right as often as possible. Because 100% of the time, yeah, that's impossible. You're going to make a ton of mistakes when you practice. But if I can manipulate two things, I will be right most of the time, and because of that, I'm going to build up muscle memory instead of trying to break down mistakes. Okay, so the first thing you got to manipulate is very simple. The tempo. You got to practice slow enough to where you are being successful with every take. So you're going to try to find a metronome speed that is slow enough to where you're getting things right. And the second thing takes a little more skill and a little more practice. And that is manipulating the amount of information you're taking in at any given time. What do I mean by that? Well, we're going to use this tune here as an example because I've never played this tune, Dexterity by Charlie Parker. It's a bebop tune. It's an up-tempo jazz tune. It's got a lot of notes in it. And man, there's no way I'm sight reading this sucker. But what I'm going to do is I am going to break this down into very small pieces. And when I say that, I mean breaking it down to one measure at a time, or one note at a time, or just breaking it down into the rhythm, or just breaking it down into the notes. As far as you got to break something down, that's how far you got to go to be correct. Okay, so I'm going to actually start by breaking this down into the first three notes. That's it. This rhythm here. 1, 2, There's the rhythm. Okay? So I got that right so far. And if I got to write the rhythm out, I will. All right. Slow enough to play this. Yep, I can do that tempo. Let's try this. I'm off to a good start. I got 3 notes down. Okay, now let's add one more note. One more note. Another note. I was able to add 3 notes there because it's easy enough. Okay, I've got the first measure. Here it is. Okay, all right, let's get the first 2 measures down here. Give me a second. I'm going to use the same method. I'm going to add maybe 3 notes or 2 notes or whatever is small enough to where I'm going to get it right. Here we go. Okay, so that's the first 2 measures of the tune. Okay, it was easy enough for me to get. If you have to break it down to just the rhythm of the second measure, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and small enough and slow enough to get it right. Okay, now, once I get a chunk of this correct, I'm going to see if I can speed it up a little bit and still get it correct. Even faster. Even faster. Made my first mistake. I jumped too far. Gotta keep myself honest here. All right, so you get the point here. Okay, so I'm going to do that method for the rest of this tune where I'm going to add a few notes, 1 measure, whatever it is, and then I'm going to go back to the beginning and play up to that spot. Then I'm going to add some more, right? Maybe I'll need to just add a measure add another measure, and then play these two measures. And then go back to the beginning and play this big chunk. Again, I'm practicing the ability to break it down into small enough chunks where I am successful, and then going back and making a bigger chunk out of it, continuing to be successful and building up the muscle memory. All the while, I am playing slow enough to get it right. It's really simple, isn't it? It's simple, but it takes a lot of practice. There is a method to practicing, and practicing correctly is a skill. Now, let's say, just for the sake of this lesson, let's say there's a part in here that has a really tough technical thing, like a tough shift or something. Maybe I'm shifting from this note all the way up here. I don't know. Whatever, okay? Now, that's another thing. You can break things down to just that little spot, just that technique, just that shift. Right? And I'm just going to isolate that and do that. As slow as I need to. Then I'm going to speed it up to where I'm getting it smooth. And I'm going to put the notes before it one at a time so that I can get it down. Let's say it's like this. Okay, now I got that chunk down. Speed it up. Add a note before it. Not ready for that yet. All right, give me a couple minutes. I'm going to see if I can get some of this down. Not bad. Not bad. So I don't know how many minutes that was, 10 minutes or something like that, but in 10 minutes, for me, that's pretty good. I mean, those 8 bars are not easy. There are a couple technical things in there that I really had to break down. This measure right here, you see I've got I don't know if you can see this little line I've got written in my music. That was just a little spot where I had to shift the same, let me see here. It was, the D to A there, that little barring there was tough to do at speed, so I had to stop and do that a bunch of times. And then do it in context, right? So it's things like that, it's details like that, that if you know how to break them down into those small chunks and slow it down slow enough to get it right, you can get a lot done. Get a lot done. This is the best way to practice, hands down, okay? So, all right, I hope that helped. This was a really important lesson, I think. So, yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know how you practice. Hopefully, well, let me know that you'll be doing this in the future, or whether or not you already do this, all right? Yeah. See you guys on the next one.